The stars shimmered cold and distant, indifferent to the chaos brewing among them. Humanity had always gazed at the cosmos with wonder, but that wonder had turned to defiance. They came without warning, towering ships that darkened the skies, emissaries of the Galactic Empire. For centuries, this empire had spread its reach across countless worlds, demanding submission in exchange for survival. Planet after planet had knelt, their histories erased, their cultures twisted to fit the empire's design. But Earth was different. It began with a message, broadcast across every frequency, in every language. The voice was smooth, almost human, promising peace through obedience. Lay down your weapons. Accept the order we bring. Resist, and be extinguished. But humanity had learned to stand in the face of extinction. From wars that scarred continents to disasters that pushed civilization to the brink, humans had always clawed their way back. They were not a species that bowed easily. In the shadows of Earth's cities, resistance brewed. Leaders rose not from governments, but from the people. Soldiers without uniforms, strategists without titles. Among them was a figure whose name spread like wildfire. Known only as the commander, they spoke not of surrender but of survival and defiance. They believe our spirit can be crushed, the commander said, voice crackling through hidden transmitters. They mistake our kindness for weakness, but we are human. We endure, we fight, and we will not bow. The Empire's fleets hovered like vultures, weapons trained on every major city. Yet Earth did not fall silent. Factories once dormant roared to life, crafting machines of war. Satellites, once peaceful eyes in the sky, became weapons. Civilians turned engineers, farmers turned fighters. Every hand had a role, every voice a promise. We will not be conquered. First contact was not a battle, but a warning. A single shuttle descended, sleek and ominous, to the heart of Earth's defenses. From it emerged an envoy, tall, cloaked, eyes cold and calculating. They carried no weapon, for they believed none were needed. You misunderstand your place, the envoy sneered. Your defiance is quaint, but inevitable. Submit, and you may yet survive. The commander met the envoy with nothing but a steady gaze. Tell your emperor this, Earth kneels to no throne. We are not the broken, we are the storm. For a moment, the envoy said nothing. Then they smiled, a thin, humorless curve. Then you will burn. And so began the war. Skies once blue burned crimson as the first strikes fell. Orbiting stations crumbled, defenses strained. Yet humanity struck back. Ambushes in the void, sabotage aboard Imperial ships, hacking their networks. Each act a reminder that Earth would not fall quietly. The Empire, vast and ancient, had never known resistance like this. But this was no fair fight. The Empire's weapons carved through steel and flesh alike. Cities smoldered, oceans boiled under orbital strikes. Yet for every blow, humanity struck harder. They turned the Empire's arrogance against them, using captured technology, exploiting every weakness. Yet victory seemed distant. For every ship they downed, a dozen more loomed. For every soldier lost, a family grieved. The commander knew this war could not be won through brute force alone. Humanity needed more than weapons. They needed a message that would shatter the illusion of the Empire's invincibility. Whispers spread of a weapon not forged in metal, but in words, a broadcast so powerful it could fracture the Empire's control over its own people. Plans were laid, deep within Earth's last bastions, to hijack the Empire's communication network. If they could plant a seed of doubt within the Empire's countless worlds, perhaps rebellion would spark beyond Earth. The operation would be dangerous, perhaps impossible, but humanity had never been strangers to impossible odds. And so, as the Empire tightened its grip, Earth prepared its greatest strike, not with guns or bombs, but with a single defiant message, one that would echo through the stars, shaking the Empire to its core. But as the plan unfolded, something far worse loomed on the horizon. a shadow larger than any fleet, a threat deeper than any weapon. Humanity's fight had only just begun. Hidden deep beneath the Arctic ice, a facility pulsed with life. It was one of Earth's last untouched sanctuaries, a bunker so secret that even most resistance leaders only knew it as a rumor. Here, a small group of scientists and engineers worked relentlessly. They called it Project Echo. This was the heart of Earth's counterstrike, the beacon meant to pierce through the Empire's suffocating silence. Dr. Lyon moved swiftly between consoles, her eyes scanning streams of code. She had once been a leading voice in communication technologies, a mind that had sought to bridge worlds, not destroy them. But now, her work had become a weapon. Signal stability at 70%, she murmured, fingers flying over the keyboard. We need more power. Beside her, a grizzled technician cursed under his breath. We rerouted everything we have. If we push harder, the whole grid might collapse. Leon didn't flinch. Then we'll rebuild it. But that message has to get through. Far above, in orbit, the Empire's warships circled like wolves. Among them was the flagship Dominion, a fortress of steel commanded by Admiral Kale. He was no diplomat. He was the Empire's hammer. And he was growing impatient. The humans are stubborn, Kale muttered, watching Earth spin below. But even stone cracks under pressure. Begin the next phase. Deep in the Empire's ranks, doubt flickered. Whispers of resistance beyond Earth. Colonies murmuring dissent. Kale knew it had to be crushed swiftly. But back on Earth, the commander was already moving. Beneath shattered cities and scorched skies, teams mobilized. One in particular, led by a quiet, sharp-eyed operative named Reyes, had been tasked with the impossible: infiltrate the Dominion itself and hijack its communication array. Reyes tightened the straps of his gear. They think we're cornered, he said quietly to his team. But we're not trapped. We're coiled, ready to strike. The plan was madness, but madness had always been humanity's strength. And far beyond the edge of known space, something stirred. The Empire's ancient enemy, long thought extinct, watched the conflict unfold. Silent, waiting. The war for Earth's freedom was only the beginning. The stars trembled as if sensing the impending doom. The chilling voice that had echoed through every comm channel hung in the air, a threat far greater than the Empire or Earth's defiance. Admiral Kale stood frozen on the Dominion's bridge, his calculated demeanor cracking. Whatever this new presence was, it commanded a fear even the Empire couldn't suppress. Reyes, hidden deep within the ship's comms core, felt the temperature drop unnaturally. Static crackled in his earpiece. Lion? Lion, do you copy? Silence. Only the faint, inhuman whisper seemed to seep through the walls, coiling around them. Dr. Lyon's console on Earth flickered back to life, but displayed nothing recognizable, just alien glyphs spiraling endlessly. Her breath quickened. This wasn't a system failure. Something had hijacked their network. She slammed her hand on the emergency override, but the system remained unresponsive. Rise, something else is here. You need to get out. A tremor rocked the Dominion, not from weapons fire, but from something distant, far beyond Earth's orbit. On the bridge, Kale barked orders. Full spectrum scans. Find the source of that transmission. Yet, no scan could pinpoint it. It was everywhere and nowhere. In deep space, far past the Empire's territory, colossal shapes moved slowly through the void. Darker than space itself, their forms defied logic. Massive, cold, and ancient. They did not drift. They advanced, deliberate and steady. These were not ships, but something far worse. Creatures or machines. It didn't matter. Their purpose was singular: to consume. On Earth, the commander received fragmented reports. The Empire's outer colonies were going dark, entire fleets vanishing without distress signals. At first, it seemed like the rebellion was spreading faster than expected. But the silence wasn't victory. It was obliteration. What the hell is going on out there? The commander muttered, staring at flickering holomaps. A young officer's voice broke through, trembling. Sir, deep space sensors just picked up something. Massive energy signatures, far beyond what even the Empire can generate. They're moving this way. The commander leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Show me. The projection expanded, revealing a growing storm in space. Not a storm of gas or debris, but a tide of darkness. It swallowed light itself. Reyes's team fought their way through tightening Imperial patrols. Alarms wailed louder, echoing the growing panic. Yet Reyes couldn't shake the feeling that even the Empire's soldiers were more afraid of something else than the intruders aboard their ship. Explosions rocked the halls as Imperial forces scrambled, not just against Reyes, but in a frenzy of confusion. Reyes grabbed a fallen officer's comm and heard snippets of terrified voices. Not rebels. It's inside the hull. We can't. Reyes's blood ran cold. He turned to his team. This isn't just about us anymore. We need to get to the command deck. Now. Above them, Admiral Kale watched helplessly as Outer Fleet commanders screamed reports that cut off mid-sentence. His seasoned mind struggled to process it. Get me the Emperor. Now. But there was no response. No orders. The Empire's vast communication web was crumbling. Back on Earth, Dr. Lyon stared at the alien glyphs twisting into something more understandable, as if adapting. Words began to form. You are not prepared. Her breath caught. Commander, you need to see this. The commander's face appeared on the screen, grim and focused. Lyon didn't hesitate. This thing. It's not just a signal. It's intelligent. And it's coming. The commander clenched their jaw. Then maybe it's time the Empire and Earth stopped killing each other and started surviving. Reyes and his team burst onto the Dominion's bridge amidst chaos. Officers turned weapons on them, but Reyes raised his hands. Wait, listen. You're all going to die unless we stop this. Admiral Kale turned slowly, cold fury in his eyes. You presume to lecture me, human. But the Dominion shook again, this time harder. Consoles sparked. The massive viewport revealed a growing shadow blotting out distant stars. Kale's glare faltered. Reyes stepped forward. We didn't send that signal. Something else is coming, and it doesn't care about empires or rebellions. Kale stared at the creeping darkness. For the first time, the Admiral felt powerless. What? What is it? Reyes shook his head. I don't know. But if we don't work together, we're all dead. Kale hesitated, then barked to his officers. Hold your fire. Get me fleet command. Prepare defensive formations. But it was too late for formations. The darkness was here. From the void, enormous shapes emerged. Vast constructs or creatures. They defied classification. One moved closer to the Dominion, and with it, a crushing pressure filled the bridge. Not physical, but mental, oppressive. It was as if reality itself strained around these things. The creature, or machine, didn't fire weapons. It simply moved, and Imperial ships disintegrated in its wake, crumbling into nothing. No explosions, just erased. Kale's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. How do you fight something that isn't even alive? Reyes didn't have an answer. None of them did. On Earth, the commander made the hardest decision yet. They opened all secure channels, Empire and Rebel alike. This is Earth. To any Empire forces still alive, we have a bigger enemy now. If you want to survive, fight with us. For a long, agonizing moment, there was silence. Then, a single Imperial captain's voice crackled through. Acknowledged. Standing by. More followed. One by one, enemies became allies. But as humanity and the Empire scrambled to unite, the darkness continued its slow, unstoppable advance. And deep within that void, something watched. Something that had waited eons for this moment. The end of all things had begun. The darkness advanced, swallowing entire Imperial fleets as if they were dust in the wind. Earth and the Empire, now forced into an uneasy alliance, scrambled to mount a defense. Yet every weapon they unleashed, lasers, plasma cannons, nuclear warheads, disappeared into the void without a trace. Nothing slowed the oncoming terror. Humanity had faced extinction before, but this was different. This wasn't an enemy they could fight. It was something far beyond understanding. On the Dominion's bridge, Admiral Kale stood paralyzed. The Empire's finest war machines crumbled like paper, erased from existence. Rides watched him carefully, sensing the weight of Kale's pride breaking under the strain of fear. "Admiral, if we don't act now, there won't be anyone left to command." Kale's fists tightened. "Then what do you suggest, human? We have nothing that can stop them." Ray stared into the dark abyss beyond the viewport, searching for something, anything. And then he saw it, a flicker of light, faint and pulsing within the blackness. Not a weapon, a beacon. "There," Rice pointed. "That light. It's not part of them." Kale narrowed his eyes. "Impossible. Nothing could survive in that." Rice shook his head. "Not impossible. Someone, or something, is still alive in there. And they might know what we're up against." Kale hesitated, torn between skepticism and desperation. Finally, he growled, "Helm, set a course. Full speed. Prepare for boarding operations." The Dominion lurched forward, massive engines pushing it toward the heart of the void. Imperial and human ships alike watched in grim silence. As they closed in, the flickering light grew brighter, revealing its source. A colossal structure, half buried in the shadows. It wasn't a ship. It was ancient, scared by eons of wear, yet unmistakably artificial. Dr. Lyon's voice crackled through Reyes's comm. "That structure, it's broadcasting on frequencies older than any known civilization. This thing predates the Empire, predates us. Be careful." Reyes assembled his team, hearts pounding as they prepared to board the alien relic. Kale dispatched his own elite guard, an uneasy truce holding them together. The boarding shuttle approached, metal groaning as it latched onto a fractured docking port. The airlock hissed open, revealing only darkness within. Flashlights pierced the black, casting shaky beams on walls inscribed with strange glyphs. The air was thin, stale, yet breathable. The silence was suffocating. "Stay close," Rise ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. Every step echoed unnaturally. Then a sound, a low, rhythmic hum, vibrated through the floor. It wasn't mechanical. It was alive. They followed the sound deeper into the labyrinth until they reached a massive chamber. In the center, suspended in a web of energy, was a figure, humanoid but impossibly tall, encased in layers of armor fused with flesh. Its eyes snapped open, glowing like embers. Rise raised his weapon instinctively. The figure didn't move. Instead, a voice filled the room, not spoken, but directly in their minds. Asterisk, you are late. Kel's guards aimed their weapons. Rise lowered his. Who are you? Asterisk, we are the wardens. Or, we were. We held them back long before your empires crawled into the stars. But we failed. Now they wake again. And you will fail too. Reyes's throat tightened. What are they? Asterisk, the Unmakers. They are not invaders. They are the end. They consume stars, worlds, thought itself. And now, they come for you. Kale stepped forward, fury rising. If you know how to stop them, then tell us. The warden's head tilted slightly. Asterisk, there is no stopping them. But there is a way to delay them. A prison built at the edge of the universe, broken but not beyond repair. Yet to reach it, a price must be paid, one neither of you will be willing to pay. Reyes glanced at Kale, then back to the warden. Try us. The warden's eyes dimmed. Asterisk. The prison runs on life, on minds, Billions must be bound to it, eternally awake, eternally dreaming. That is how we trapped them before. That is how you must trap them again. Sacrifice your people, or let everything die. A cold silence followed. Kel's face darkened. You speak madness. We do not sacrifice our own. Ray said nothing. The weight of the warden's words pressed on him. Sacrifice billions to save trillions. Could humanity, or the Empire, make that choice? Before anyone could respond, the ground shook violently. The warden's form flickered. Asterisk. They are here. They have sensed me. Go. Now. As the team scrambled back to the shuttle, massive fissures split through the ancient structure. From the cracks, tendrils of pure darkness slithered in, reaching. One lashed out, ensnaring an Imperial soldier. He didn't scream. He simply ceased to exist. The shuttle tore away from the collapsing relic just as the void consumed it whole. On the Dominion's bridge, Kale and Rice stood in grim silence. Kel's voice was cold steel. I will not sacrifice my empire. Rice stared at the void. And if we don't, there won't be an empire to sacrifice. As they spoke, deep within the black, the Unmakers shifted. And far beyond, in the cold reaches of space, another signal pulsed to life. But this time, it wasn't a warning. It was a response. Somewhere, something else had heard the warden's awakening. And it was coming. The void trembled. From the deepest reaches of the abyss, the Unmakers moved, their presence warping space itself. Entire fleets vanished in an instant, consumed by the creeping dark. The combined might of Earth and the Empire was nothing but a flicker against their infinite hunger. On the Dominion's bridge, Admiral Kale and Captain Rice stared at the growing shadow, both realizing time was running out. Dr. Lyon's voice crackled over the comms. That second signal, it's approaching fast. But it's not like them. It's something else, something massive. Before they could respond, the main display lit up, showing a vast object emerging from hyperspace. A colossal vessel, ancient yet gleaming, carved with the same symbols as the Warden's prison. It dwarfed even the Empire's largest battleships. The ship broadcast a single message across all frequencies. Asterisk, we are the architects, the ones who built the prison. You have awakened what must remain bound. We have come to finish what you cannot. Kel's jaw tightened. More relics from the past. Can they be trusted? Reyes leaned forward. We don't have a choice. Open a channel. A figure materialized on the screen, neither fully organic nor machine. Its voice echoed, ancient and steady. Asterisk. The Warden speaks truth. The prison is broken, but it can be sealed again. Yet the cost remains. Countless mines to fuel its walls. But there is another way. Cal's eyes narrowed. Another way. Asterisk, a bridge must be built. A link between mines and the prison. One powerful enough to hold the Unmakers. One willing to bear the weight alone. Reyes's stomach twisted. You're saying a single mind could seal them. Asterisk, yes. But that mind will never return. It will burn, forever holding the darkness. The bridge fell into silence. The solution was worse than death, a sacrifice beyond comprehension. Kel's voice was cold. Who do you suggest we condemn? Before the architect could answer, the Dominion shook violently. The Unmakers had arrived. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, gripping nearby ships and crushing them like insects. Rice turned to Kale. We're out of time. If we hesitate, we're finished. Kale glared. You would sacrifice one of us, or yourself, perhaps. Rice didn't answer. His mind raced. Then his calm crackled to life. Dr. Lyon's strained voice came through. Wait. There's something. The Warden left behind. A beacon. It's resonating with the architect's ship. If amplified, it could create the bridge. But it needs a living core. A commander. Someone connected to both our forces. Kel's eyes darkened. You mean me? Reyes met his gaze. Or me. But it has to be someone who can unify the Empire and Earth, someone both sides will follow. Cal's grip on the console tightened. For the first time, the weight of his empire seemed to crush him. He looked past Reyes, to the chaos unfolding beyond the viewport. And then, a voice neither of them expected. "Dr. Lion, it doesn't have to be either of you. I can do it. I understand the Warden's signal. I can merge it with the beacon." Reyes spun toward the comms. "No. Lion, you. There's no time." She snapped. "This is what I was meant for. Let me finish it." Before anyone could stop her, Lion activated the beacon. A beam of searing light shot from the Dominion, striking the heart of the Architect's ship. A web of energy exploded outward, encasing the void. The Unmakers howled, not in sound, but in the tearing of space itself. Darkness recoiled, clawing to escape. But then, the light faltered. Cracks formed in the energy web. The Architect's ship groaned, unable to contain the strain. Reyes's heart stopped. It's not enough. Cal's eyes burned with sudden resolve. "Then I finish it." Before Reyes could react, Cal stormed to the command console and initiated a direct neural link to the beacon. Energy surged through him, connecting his mind to the prison. His scream echoed through the bridge as the weight of the Unmakers bore down on him. The light flared, sealing the cracks. Darkness writhed, twisting in agony as the prison reformed, pulling the Unmakers back into the abyss. The void screamed, and then fell silent. The beacon dimmed. The Architect's ship drifted, its task complete. Reyes stared at the console, where Cal had fallen silent. His body lay still, eyes wide but unseeing. A voice echoed faintly in Reyes's mind. Asterisk, watch them. Don't let this happen again. Reyes's fists clenched. The Empire's greatest admiral was gone, and with him, the old divisions. Earth and the Empire stood on the edge of extinction, saved by sacrifice. But far beyond, in the cold void where the Unmakers had been sealed, something stirred. A fracture in the prison. A whisper too faint to hear. Not yet. The war was over. For now. Silence returned to the stars. But it was a fragile peace. The once bustling warfront now drifted in eerie stillness, wreckage floating aimlessly where fleets had stood. Captain Reyes stood on the bridge of the Dominion, staring at the emptiness beyond the viewport. Admiral Cal's lifeless body had been respectfully covered, his sacrifice a quiet sentinel among the survivors. The comms crackled to life. Dr. Lion's voice, faint but steady, echoed through. "Captain, the beacon is stable. The prison holds. For now." Reyes exhaled slowly. "Status of the fleet." Commander Holt's voice answered grimly. "Minimal survivors. Earth's forces are scattered, and the Empire's fleets are crippled. But we're alive." Reyes closed his eyes briefly. Alive. But at what cost? The Architect's massive ship lingered at the edge of the system, its once bright glyphs now dim. The figure from before reappeared on the screen. Asterisk. The seal is restored, but its strength is finite. The fracture remains. We must depart to repair the deeper wounds. This galaxy is your burden now. Guard it well. Without another word, the ancient vessel turned, slipping into hyperspace. Reyes watched it vanish, a cold weight settling in his chest. They were truly alone now. Dr. Lion limped onto the bridge, clutching her side. Her face was pale, but determined. Cal's sacrifice bought us time, but it's a warning too. That crack in the prison, it's growing. Slowly, but surely. Reyes nodded grimly. Then we prepare, we rebuild. And next time, we won't need a sacrifice. Earth's battered fleet limped back to Sol, joined by the Empire's shattered remnants. For the first time, Terran and Imperial ships moved as one, not in rivalry, but in survival. Messages of remembrance spread across both civilizations, honoring Cal, Lian, and the countless lost. Months passed. Memorials rose on both Earth and Imperial worlds, monuments to unity born from desperation. Rice found himself at one such ceremony, standing before a towering statue of Admiral Kale, his stern gaze carved into stone, forever watching. A young officer approached. "Captain Rice, the council is ready for you. The Empire's delegates are waiting." Rice turned from the statue, his expression hardening. "Not the Empire. Not anymore. We stand as one now. Humanity. United." The officer hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, sir." In the halls of power, Earth's leaders and the Empire's nobles sat at the same table. Debates raged, plans were forged. Outposts were reinforced along the galaxy's edges, new weapons researched, not for conquest, but defense. Dr. Lyon became the architect of humanity's next shield. Her work with the Warden's remnants and the Architect data forged new technologies, blending ancient designs with human ingenuity, weapons to hold the dark at bay, and sensors to watch the prison's every tremor. Yet, in quiet moments, Rice found himself staring at the stars, remembering the faint whisper, "Not yet." One evening, as Rice stood alone on a balcony overlooking Earth's reconstructed capital, a soft chime interrupted his thoughts, a private message. He opened it. It was a signal, faint, ancient, originating from the edge of the galaxy, the same place where the architects had vanished. Dr. Lyon's voice came over the line, hushed and wary. "Captain, you need to see this." The screen flickered. Symbols scrolled, eerily familiar. Not the architects, not the unmakers. Something else. Rice's breath caught. Humanity had won the battle, but the war was far from over. New shadows stirred, and old ones waited for cracks to widen. He straightened, resolve hardening. "Prepare the fleet. We're not done yet." And in the cold silence beyond, something ancient watched and waited. Humanity would not bow. Not now. Not ever.